wanted to share with you a couple of things that I have really been enjoying lately. I know a lot of people have been doing favorites videos, but honestly, my favorites pretty much stay the same. So I figured that wouldn't be super interesting for you. I mean, if you've watched even like 2 of my videos, you could probably name my favorites. Like, the favorite foundation is the NARS Soft Matte. I also enjoy the Dior Backstage. Favorite concealer tends to be my Tarte Shape Tape. I always use my Pat McGrath Under Eye Setting Powder to set my concealer. Right now I am using the deep shade. Finishing powder is my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish. There's that. Eyeshadow primer is typically my Makeup by Mario Eye Prep and Set. And blush, I love my Milani Cheek Kiss blushes. I have already panned completely 2 of them. And even with the powders, I've panned a couple of those. So my favorites kind of stay the same. But there are some things that I've been really enjoying as of late, so I wanted to share them with you and kind of give you an update of some things that I have mentioned in previous videos. So, jumping right in, the first thing is the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm. Now, I have this balm in the Universal, which is sort of like a clear, and then I also have it in shade 9. Now, initially I had gotten shade 8, but that was a little too yellow on me, and so shade 9, I actually have it on today. I kind of forgot. That is the, I guess, like foundation that I have on today. I used the number 9. I just really like this. Now, I think the best part of it is when it's like set down a bit. So like initially when you put it on, at least for me, I'm like, it's okay. But like 15 minutes later, it like flawless. And the thing that I like is that it pretty much gets better over time, just like me. But like throughout the day, it really does help with me not getting as oily as I typically would. It lasts pretty long. Now, I did wear this to work, like into my office. Child, I don't even know. It took me like 2 hours to get home. We're not even going to talk about it. But I did wear it into my office. It held up pretty well, even with having a mask on. I will say, though, like at the end of the day, when I went to use the restroom and I looked in the mirror, I was like, oh, girl. Like, it just felt like it was time to take that makeup off. But I do find that it lasts relatively long. I have been sort of experimenting with ways of applying it. I think I'm actually really enjoying applying the balm with a damp sponge, and I'm like, y'all, I'm like flying through this. I have honestly been using it pretty much every day. Like, my NARS Soft Matte is like, girl, where you go? Why you leave me? Now, that is the one with a bit of a tint to it. The Universal one, I have really been enjoying as a primer under other foundations. And same thing in terms of it really does help to keep my oils down throughout the day. And it's because of that Upsolate that is the like secret ingredient. So I am really enjoying these. I typically will put the Universal on just with my fingers. So I'll just kind of rub into it. And you can see it's just like there's no real pigment to it. So there's the Universal. And then let me show you the 9. There's the 9. So those are continuing to be favorites. I'm so glad I bought these. Like, yeah. Now, I know that also you can use them for like contour and bronzer and stuff if you get different shades. I don't know that I'm going to do all of that. Like, how many of these do I really need? I'm really good with the Universal and with the number 9. Now, I will say that it is more of a lighter coverage, but you can build it up a bit. And I really like these a lot more than I like the Yummy Skin Serum Foundation. I do like the Yummy Skin Serum Foundation if I want more of a like dewy, yummy look. I would say that it's not one foundation that I choose for when I want long wear. It's something where I'm like, I'm gonna have this foundation on for a couple of hours. I just want to look like cute and glowy, but I'm not expecting it to just, you know, it's not my NARS. I'm not expecting it to just last the entire day, but I do like the way my skin looks when I have it on. Okay, I kind of like went off track. So what else have I been enjoying? So there was something that I recently got that people have been raving about for a while, but I was like, guess who's gonna wait for a sale? And that is the Melt Cosmetics Amor y Mariposas eyeshadow palette or pigment palette. And I like it, but the thing that I like the most is this Monarcha blush palette. And I got this in a bundle for, I think it was like $35 or $38. So the palette, when it first came out, was like $75. I love how I say that, and I'm just like, but I'm gonna get all the Pat McGrath motherships. Anyway, it was $75, and I was like, nah, I'm okay. I'm not gonna get it. But I have been using it a bit. I do recognize that a lot of the shades are pressed pigments rather than like eyeshadows. So I do find myself like having to go slowly and pack things on, and maybe I'll show you how I use it. But this blush palette, I have honestly been using this blush palette like a lot, and that is saying something considering I'm always using my Milani cream blush. I have my Milani on today, but then I went in and put some of these blushes on top, and they're just very pigmented, which I appreciate given my skin tone. Like, stuff shows up. Very pretty. There are like several matte shades, but then also some more like shimmery highlighter shades that I also like to use. So I have really been enjoying this blush palette. I was really surprised, cause yeah, I'm like tied to my Milani, and then in terms of powder blushes, I have some of the original ones from Pat McGrath. I have a Cover FX one or two. So I was kind of surprised at how much I like this, but I have really been enjoying this blush palette. I hear more people talk about the eyeshadow or the pressed pigment palette more so than the blush palette. So I really didn't know what to expect, but I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, in relation to eyeshadow, I have really been enjoying my Natasha Denona Work and Set primers, whatever they are. So one thing that I noticed is for some shimmer or like multi-chrome shades, what I did in a previous video was to compare how the shimmers changed depending upon the base that I had. And like, I have just been loving using these to kind of change up the looks of some of my eyeshadow. So they come in this little pot, very similar to like the old school MAC painterly paint pots. Is that what they're called? I've actually never used them, but everybody talks about them. So this one is the nude shade, which on me comes up pretty like peachy white. This is the brown one, and this is the black one. And you can see that there are dips in all of these, so I do consistently use them. Today I actually used the brown one, and then I put a shimmer on top of that, and then just some darker mattes, and I just really enjoy these. Now these are the only 3 shades she has so far. I will say that they are like, they're very dry. I have other primers that are creamier. One I'm thinking of is the Sigma eyeshadow base. Like, I just find that all of the shades are pretty creamy. Like, they just go on so easily. While with the Natasha Denona ones, I tend to have to use a brush just because it's a pretty small opening there, and it's just a bit drier. Typically, I just kind of go in there and then put it onto my eye, and it's kind of hard to tell, but it's just drier than some other ones. It's drier, but it's not drying, if that makes sense. So I still like it. If she comes out with other shades, maybe I would purchase them, but I really just like using these as a primer. I have also used the brown and the black one as like liners. Pretty much they're very versatile products. A new brand to me is Blend Bunny Cosmetics, and I have the 3 eyeshadow palettes that they currently have. The Surge palette, which was the first one that I bought, then the Dollhouse palette, and then the Blends palette. Now, I like all of these palettes. Here is the blends, so you can see it's just all mattes, pretty much all the colors you want to play around with. And here is the Dollhouse, which is sort of a neutral palette, but it just gives you a little something more. Like, these shimmers are to die for. So I actually really enjoy this. But the one I would say out of all 3, if I was to think like the one that I would buy, it is definitely the Surge palette. And what I like about it is it's sort of a mixture of those neutrals and the colorful shades. And then you've got this bottom row of neons. And the shimmers on this, or in this palette, are just amazing. Like, look at those. Ugh. Love it. So yes, I would say out of the 3, I really do like the Surge palette. I just feel like it's kind of like a combination of the Dollhouse and the blends. And the thing with the Dollhouse, if you're of a darker skin tone, some of the shades are just going to be light on us because they are just super light shades, like this second row for sure. So that can be a deterrent if you are of a deeper skin tone. There is pretty much a row that it's not going to feel as I don't know, as something, you know what I mean? So you could potentially be losing out on a row, even though I will say that those shades do show up very well. Now, since I finished my Danessa Myricks Power Bronzer, like I panned the whole thing, I have been reaching for some of the other like cream bronzers or contours that I have, but one that I noticed that I've been reaching for a lot is the colored Raine bronzer. The shade that I have is Mocha Queen. It is a pressed bronzer. This shade is pretty deep, and I believe there's like one shade deeper than this. I'm actually planning to get the shade lighter than this one because it's just it's deep. I really like it though. I need to tap barely into it to get the pigment payoff. Oh. And so I am planning to buy the one that's a shade up from it. I think it's like Naughty Spice, or I could be making that up. And what I like too is that typically this retails for $16, but I always see it like half off. So that's why I'm going to get it right now, because it's $8 right now as I speak. But I have really been enjoying this bronzer, and that's why I want to get the other shade, because I feel like it's going to work a little bit better, and maybe I don't have to like dab into it so lightly, just because of the deepness of, or the richness of the color. Now, another thing, maybe, no, I think I'll save that one for last. Ooh. Okay, so this is something that I have liked for a while. This is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Concealer. Now, I continue to feel like Dose of Colors is a slept-on brand. When I tell you, I have so many of their liquid lipsticks. I have so many of their glosses. They're hands down my favorite liquid lipstick and gloss brand. And even for lip gloss though, they might be losing to the new Christian Audette lip gloss in Ray that was part of the set that Tara Lynn came out with. I did a video on that like the other day. But the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Concealer, I just really, really like it. It's definitely full coverage. Like, look at that. You see the coverage right there. So if you're not a full coverage person, like, you know, don't get it. But I really like how long lasting it is. It dries down relatively fast, but it is very blendable and movable. So I really like that. And I'm so glad. I think, again, they were having a sale. Like, is that my life? I just look for sales. They were having a sale and the concealers, I believe, were like half off. And I was like, you know, I really think I used to like that concealer. Let me grab it. So I did. I do. I love it. So another thing that I've been really enjoying is my Shop Missy little like beauty sponge. Now, people used to talk about these all the time. I don't hear as many people discuss them, but you can get like 6 of these for a couple dollars. And they're very squishy, so if you don't like a squishy sponge, if you prefer a firmer one, then you might not like these. But I kind of go back and forth in terms of what I use to apply my makeup. Like sometimes I use a brush, sometimes I use a sponge, sometimes I use my fingers. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling and how long my nails are that day. But I have really been enjoying using sponges again, and specifically this sponge. So I have quite a few of them. This is the one I actually used today, so you can see the difference in terms of this one is dry, this one is a bit damp. It's kind of drying out now, but it is the one that I use to apply my Danessa Myricks Balm, and it's also the one that I use to blend out my Dose of Colors concealer today. I just really like it. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's bouncy, it's pink, it's a couple dollars. Like, I feel like of course I'm gonna buy it. Okay, and the very last thing is something that I finally bought that I have been looking at for years. I think it's been years. It's at least been 1 year, it might be 2, depending on when it actually came out. And that is the Colored Raine Book of Shades. Y'all, when I tell you, I have been wanting this for so long. So of course I had, like, you know, where you can go in and put notify me when available for a product. Like, I have had that on. I've tried to catch it, and the other day, I think it was last week, I got the little notification that it was available, and I immediately went to purchase it because it is always out of stock. And I believe it was like half off, which was even better because I did not want to pay full price for it. And I think that was partly what was stopping me. But this is where you can store your single eyeshadows. I'm not even gonna open it just yet, okay? I just, let's revel in it together. But I would initially use my Sydney Grace empty magnetic palettes. They have various sizes, and you can just throw your single shadows in there. So I have like this size, and then the next size up, and then they also have the large one. And I like these. I like these well enough. I like taking some of my single shadows and making like a little palette for myself with the smallest one. And you can fit quite a few in here. Like the 26mm pans, the kind of general regular single shadow pans. Now, this though, it's in like a book form. Y'all, can I show you? So here it is, right? And then, like, do you see that? Do you see that? Look, I mean, here are more. Like it, so there are 3 sections and you can fit up to 72 of those 26 millimeter pans in here. And I don't even want to tell you about it because when it's restocked, like I want to get another one or two, and I don't want you to get it and I not get it. I'm sorry, okay? Like, I would be real mad. I would be real mad if y'all were like, oh, I got it, and I was like, oh, for real, I didn't. So if I get it, then we're all good. But no, like for real though, don't get it before me because I really want another one. But actually all of the single shadows I have that are this size are now in here. And okay, so I have like 6 more shades coming. Just leave me alone. But I do want another one of these Book of Shades. I don't see anything else like it. Like I see some palettes, magnetic palettes that are in kind of the book form, but I have yet to find anything like this. Like I'm confused as to why they don't always have it in stock. They should make like thousands of these. Because this is just so cool to me. I'm about to show everybody this. Like people are gonna be thinking I have a book, like a literature book. I'm gonna be like, no, it's a book of eyeshadows. Okay, so I think those are the things that I have been enjoying lately. My favorites have stayed the same. My favorites are still my favorites. These are just products that I have really been enjoying. My favorites take the cake. They take the cake, the ice cream, like the little, you know, sprinkles on top. But these are some that I am really, really enjoying. So I think that's it. Let me know if you have tried any of these things, how you're enjoying them, if you're not enjoying them for any reason. I think that is it. Hopefully some of this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure you're taking care of yourself and your loved ones. And I will see you next time.